Is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, powered today by BetUS, and we are going to be getting you set up for the Senior Bowl. As the saying goes, the draft starts in mobile. So we're going to be taking a look at three offensive tackle prospects that you need to know as a Baltimore Ravens fan going into Senior Bowl week. If you guys are looking forward to this breakdown, if you're excited to start getting ready for some draft content, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here to catch everything you need to know for the Baltimore Ravens approach to the 2025 NFL draft. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about these three guys that we are going to be taking a look at. So we are going to be starting our draft coverage. Obviously, this is going to be a series that I'm calling the Baltimore War Room, where essentially we're going to be trying to act like the Baltimore Ravens front office when they go into the war room on draft night. We're going to be analyzing prospects, talking about projections, and getting set up for April when the Ravens will go into the 2025 NFL draft. So we're starting with offensive tackle. It's a bit of a fluid need for the Baltimore Ravens. If you take a look at their depth chart right now, they have one offensive tackle locked in next year. They have Ronnie Stanley as a free agent, Patrick McCary as a free agent, Josh Jones as a free agent. Then obviously they have Roger Rosengarten, who has some ability to move to left tackle if they don't bring Ronnie back. So that's really why we're taking a look at the O tackle class. We're not sure what's going to happen there. So if they need to pass on Ronnie and go to the well early on a left tackle, we'll be taking a look at those guys. If they bring Ronnie back and they need to get depth and they're looking for a swing tackle, we'll be taking a look at those guys too. So we'll be covering everything you need. We don't have lines up ready to go, but you can go over to BetUS. You can use promo code YouTube150 and you can get a 150% sign up bonus by using that promo code from our friends at BetUS. Lines for the Super Bowl will be out likely tomorrow. So be sure to check there. Use that promo code. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring. So we're going to be taking a look at Josh Conerly out of the University of Oregon, Chase Lundt out of UConn, and Charles Grant out of William and Mary. So let's start here. Taking a look at some of the film. And just before we get too deep into this, these aren't intended to be deep dives. I'll be doing a deep dive each individual prospect. This is really kind of a primer, taking a look at what you need to know. So Josh Conerly, left tackle out of Oregon, one of the guys that I think is going to skyrocket. And if he has a good Senior Bowl, could be just one of those guys that is frankly out of reach for the Ravens in the first round if they do need to go to left tackle. So again, this is one of those scenarios. If Ronnie Stanley is not a Baltimore Raven after free agency, they are going to have to take a very hard look at left tackle early in this draft. Josh Conerly could fit that bill. And you're going to really see here with some of these film clips of why. He is an athletic freak, one of those guys that he started as a running back when he came to Oregon, switched to left tackle. Incredible story, really, and is just a guy that has a lot of potential to continue to grow. And you'll see with his skills. We'll start here with the run game. So number 76 in here at left tackle. As a run blocker, just as kind of a preview, not a guy that's going to be a powerful blocker. He's more of one of those positional guys. If you've watched my breakdowns of Roger Rosengarten, I talk a lot about he's not really going to drive block guys, but by using strategic positioning and creating leverage seals, that's really where he benefits. And that's really what you're going to see in the run game. He's not going to be a power guy, and that's one of those things to watch in those one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, because his power is going to be tested. It's going to be on display. That's what happens in those one-on-ones. Guys try to run through your face. You have to move the offensive line. Defense always has an advantage in those one-on-ones when it's O-line versus D-line, in my opinion. So just one of those things. So taking a look here on the run game, you're going to see right here, nice little seal block. And this is really what he needs to do to be successful. So they're just going to run zone off tackle. You see the split block there from the tight end, and you're going to see Conerly come down on that in shoulder. And rather than try and drive him out, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to use that right hand, go up under the armpit and turn back. And that's where that creates that running lane. So rather than running outside zone off the left tackle's butt cheek, they're kind of running this off the left guard and having the left tackle create that seal lane. And you can see right there, the running back gets a nice little seam out in space. So utilizing his athleticism, and that's really his style of block. So you're going to see it again here. Right here, you see how he's going to angle out, and he's just going to make that seal block, and give some space there for the running back to exploit. So really like to see that. It shows that he knows his limitations in terms of drive blocking, and he's playing strategically around that. I think that's a super positive thing. They also like to get him out in space. Again, you're going to see that athleticism right there, plowing through two guys. Super impressive stuff here with his move skills, but how well can he, play with power? Here he's going to climb up into the second level and again seal that shoulder. So really athletic mover, easy mover, a guy that just, if you think of some of those toss lefts where Ronnie Stanley was out there making blocks in the second, third level for Derrick Henry, easy to see the natural fit here, even if he needs to come along a little bit, just like we saw with Roger Rosengarten. So super interesting, but you will see, I tried to grab a couple goal line snaps to show you. So again, watching here on the left tackle, he's going to struggle to deal with power. See him line up with 93 here in a drive block and just not able to get the move, right? So running back ends up sneaking in. You're going to see it again here, just not quite able to drive block. So that power is going to be tested. That's his big limitation in the run game. Easy mover, strategically positioning himself, which I love to see. I love to see guys that know their limitations and play around it. That shows a high football IQ, always important when we get into player analysis. And really what you're looking at from Josh Conerly and from a left tackle is going to be how well he moves in pass protection. Now, again, a guy that needs to get used to dropping his anchor. Very similar to a lot of the stuff we talked about with Roger Rosinger. Super easy mover and pass protection here. You're going to see him. Look at those feet. Like, this is some impressive stuff. He looks like a power forward in basketball. Just, moving, quick feet, quick as a hiccup, getting out there. You see how quick he's out of his stance. Refitting with his hands while his feet continue to move. We're going to see him again here on the opposite side. There's that quick set. And this is really what got me excited, is seeing him mix this in. Again, if you guys watch my Roger Rosengarten coverage, you know I love this part of his game. He's going to get there, get hands on, and he's got those movement skills, quick feet to move. Just love this ability. Right there. There's another quick set, hands out, and finishes his guy into the ground. It's got a little physicality to him. It surprised me going through his tape. I wasn't expecting him to be, putting guys into the dirt. I don't think he does it consistently because of his lack of strength, but when he gets the opportunity, he's not afraid to do it, and I love to see that. Shows me he plays with an edge. And you're going to see right here, a little bit of test through that anchor, right? So that's really what we need to watch on some of these reps. Tried to focus on Ohio State. Obviously, they have a national championship defense. You see right there. Love this rep. So you watch his left hand. So 44 is going to work upfield, chop down that left hand, and then you see that refit. So I want you to focus on the left hand. As that hand shoots, defender knocks that down, and then he refits, right? So that's really showing independent hand usage right there, chop down, and he refits. And those feet are moving in line with him the whole time. And right here is where we're going to, have to keep an eye. So he's right here. We got 33. He's going to get a little bit of an arc on him. So as he drops out, see right there, he's going to get ran through a little bit. That is going to be how quickly he's able to absorb this. And you see he stayed in front of him. So he's got those movement skills. He does a really good job of angling himself. But you're going to see plays like this one where you see right there, he's got a brace, and now he's back right in the quarterback's kitchen, right? So how quickly can he get to a position where he can anchor and play with power? But again, that's a pressure allowed, but he does a really good job of making sure that the quarterback's not taking any contact in the pocket. So good movement skills in pass protection and good movement skills in the run game. That's kind of, he's an athletic freak, natural fit for a left tackle position with that upside as a pass protector, but it's just how quickly can he adapt to the power demands of the NFL level. Very, very similar to what we've talked about on and off with Roger Rosengarten. Really reminds me, I wouldn't say they're similar prospects because there's a lot of differences in their games. I think Roger Rosengarten was a lot more technical. I think Conerly is probably going to be more athletic. So I wouldn't say that that's a similarity, but there's similarities in terms of that power deficit being what they need to improve the most and the quickest to be able to get to that starting caliber level at the NFL level. So that's kind of a guy they're looking at as probably a first round target. I mean, I wouldn't say probably. He's going in the first round and may even be out of the Baltimore Ravens. Then you get a guy like Charles Grant out of William and Mary, so small school, obviously. And his film was a little tough. They played with two QBs a lot where they're running crazy reverses. It's hard to kind of see him in a natural environment, so I had to really focus in on some of those clips to find those opportunities to showcase to you guys. But this is a guy that we see it every year. You go back to Quinn Miners, small school guy that comes into the Senior Bowl, lights it up, gets noticed, lets his belly hang out. You saw it with Cole Strange out of Chattanooga. We saw it last year with who's that cat? He ended up playing for the Bucks. Can't think of his name. I'd have to look it up. There's always a small school guy that ends up, really getting noticed at the Senior Bowl. And I think Charles Grant's that guy this year. Again, left tackle, 6'4", 300. He's light, but he's athletic as heck. And this is where, when you get small school guys, how quickly can they up the competition, right? Because I'm looking through his tape, and I have tape of him against, Towson. No disrespect to Towson, but it's not D1, top Power 5 football. And I got film against team with the Coastal Carolina with the sick field. So again, that's you're talking about group of 5 play, but not the top play, right? So it's just these guys get the opportunity to go against kind of that higher level talent where they're going against their peers, guys that'll be drafted, and that's really where they'll make or break it. Very similar in terms of what I think in terms of strengths and weaknesses to Josh Conerly. I think he's an athletic freak. I think he's a really good mover. I just worry about how he's going to be able to take the power on, but I do think he does a much cleaner job, and I really wonder if he has some ability to slide inside and play guard. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So here we're going to see him in the run game. See him getting into that second level and sealing on the sealing inside leverage. So again, mover getting into that second level. You can see him climb into the linebacker. Right hand comes across, but he works his helmet across and creates that cutback lane, which, really solid work. This is what I mean. Very, very athletic dude. Really impressed with how well he moved. Regardless of talent, athletic as hell. Here we're going to see him pass off, get outside on that double team, and you see there a little bit of nasty, right? That linebacker steps up late. See right there, 10 steps up, gets in a shoot, and then finishes him right into the ground. So he's got a little bit of nasty into his game too, which I really like to see. Gives me a little hope if he does have to play inside due to some of his, length and range issues. He's definitely not as athletic as Conerly, but he might be better fit on the inside if he's able to handle the power of the inside. And now here we're going to see him really at his best. He's going to just pass off the double team. So you see, starts with a 4-eye technique here on the D-line. Number 3 is kind of covering him, but he's on the inside shoulder of him. So he's got to pass him off to the left guard who's going to climb, and then he's going to get into number 3. So right there, you see that nice handoff, and then into 3, and you can see right there, working through that and trying to work him into the ground. But nice pass off on the combo block. Really easy mover. Once again, doing it here, getting into 11 and creating that seal. So combo blocks really solid, really easy mover, getting into that second level, something that I think he does really well, and not something that I'm worried about in terms of level of competition. I think he's got that level of athleticism. See him on the pull here, getting around. That's what I mean. Like Conerly seems a little bit more athletic, but I really like how he locates. He's going to come around, see him head up right on that linebacker, and he's going to get right into him and lay a hit and let the running back kind of come off him. So I think that's really solid work, really athletic in the run game. Like to see that. And then here we're going to see his pass protection. So again, William and Mary not running a ton of true pass sets. So I really had to isolate those true pass sets to be able to break down what he can do. You're going to see right here, it looks like he's a labor mover, but I just don't think he's used to doing true kind of vertical sets and getting into the pass protection game that he's going to be asked to do next week at the Senior Bowl. Some guys just, you don't see them have to do it a lot. And then when you get into a coaching setting, which is those one-on-one reps, coaches are going to ask these guys to do a lot of things that they're just not used to. And how quickly they can pick that up and adapt and get better over the 3 days of practices leading up to the games tells you a lot about their coachability, a lot about their potential. And so you're going to see right here, he's just going to take that nice, but, not necessarily a bad rep. I'm not trying to criticize him here because his key here is to get hands on. And you're just going to see, doesn't quite fire out of his stance, hands up. His hands go a little bit wide. I'd like to see his hands in a little neater. But you can see, and you see a nice little finish there at the end. You can see how when he's able to lock in, when he gets his hands in and he kind of pops them up, and then he gets that arc back that I'm always talking about, seems like he has really strong grips on the chest plate, and that's what I want to see. So here we're going to see a little bit more of a vertical set, get out a little bit quicker. You can see right there, and he picks up that stunt pretty easily. So I like seeing that. I like seeing him get out of his stance nice and quick. You guys know I say that all the time. Worst thing you can do is get out of your stance slow. I'm looking at you, Daniel Falele. You're going to see him come out, feel inside, pick up that stunt, and then right there, lock him in. And you see him giving a little dirt there after. Love to see that. Here we're going to get him out in movement, picking up the edge player. So there his range, right? So he's out, he's moving. It looks a little labored, but not necessarily bad. Hands out, good extension. He's got good pad level when he shoots his hands. So definitely some solids there. See right there, there's those hands landing a little wide again. I'm a little worried about those wide hands. See, as his hands come up, they're just, I can't really quite see it. So watch his hands go kind of circles right there. So he kind of goes like that, right? And he's grasping in. And so he's trying to end up in the armpits, which is good, but he's giving up his chest in the meantime, whereas you want to land that punch and kind of shoot those hands in rather than grasp. And so that's just something that I think is going to come with the more he does it. But again, once he's got those vice grips in, you see how effective it is. Getting back out here in movement, you see right there. And that's kind of where, again, he's missing his hands. His hands are shooting a little high and a little wide, and then he ends up with a little bit of the chokehold, right? So you see that hand come out high and wide. So just got to improve that hand placement. Got pretty good movement skills, though. I think he recovers pretty well there. So I'm encouraged by that. And then you can see him get in there. And this is really what I'm wondering if he can do on the inside, because he's going to come down and take on that 3-tech. And again, I think his hands could land a little bit more inside. But you can see right there, see there's that back arch, right? Pad level's a little high. I'd like to see him sink more into his hips. But he's got pretty good, it seems like he's got a good amount of sand in his pants, right? So I'm interested to see how he can develop that power aspect of the game. So this is a guy that as soon as they're in one-on-one pass rush drills, I'm laser focused on what he can do, because when he has to get into his pass set and just take on a pass rusher with nothing else to worry about other than trying to run through your face, that's really where you learn a lot about these guys. So I think that's going to tell you a lot. That's why I think it's such an important week for him at the Senior Bowl. And into our last guy of this breakdown, Chase Lundt, out of UConn, a right tackle. So this would be the kind of guy that you might be looking at to develop as a swing. Big boy, 6'8", 305. A guy that's a lot more physical, but a decent amount of athleticism. Another guy that I think just not a whole ton of true pass sets to learn from. I think I'd like to clean up his stance a little bit. I think he plays. I think he can play with more quickness out of his stance. Little things like that I'd like to see get better. But a guy that I'm pretty interested in because of how physical he plays. And you guys know I have a physicality bias. I'm always looking for that. I think the Ravens need to start developing guys with a little bit more meanness in their game, and that's exactly what I'm looking at here. So this was the first play of this game against Duke this year, and just love to see this. He's going to get out in space here on a pull. See that nice blend of athleticism and physicality, and he's going to take that boy right outside the back to the bench. Super impressive rep here. You know, this was, as soon as I saw it on the first rep, I was like, okay, I'm paying attention because I like what I'm seeing here. You see that nice athleticism. He gets there, lines him up, and just smashes him out of bounds, right? Just takes him back out the club. So really impressed there. See that second level climb and then that physicality right there. This is some good stuff. So he's going to, first of all, he's going to reach. You're going to get an inward slant from that edge player, which is fine. He reacts well. You can see right there, he's going to pass off his hands. So obviously, if this player works upfield, he needs to be able to cross his face. But you can see right there, he's going to shoot his hands and pass, but then his head's going straight up into that linebacker right there. And so really good pass off, gets hands on him, creates that rushing lane, and then comes in and finishes what he starts and ends up on top of him. That's what I love to see. Finish what you start, because that tells me a lot about his mentality, right? If he starts getting into drive block situations, he's not going to be one of those guys that kind of gives up after 2-3 seconds and lets the player run out the back of his block. He's going to finish you. He's going to continue to grind. And I think you're going to see this level of physicality this week at the Senior Bowl. Keep rolling here. And there's just right there again, there's that physicality, right? So he's got a cross face. He's got, you know, kind of a stack here. He's got to get across his face. It's outside zone. He's going to take that cutback lane, but you see how he seals that shoulder, right? Because that's supposed to go off the outside of his shoulder. So he's got to work inside. Ends up getting cut back. No issues there. But you can see the athleticism power blend for him to be able to cross that face and end up there. Now we get an inside track here. And look at that I said twerk. Look at him torque that inside shoulder right here. He's going to get that slant from the defensive tackle. So he ends up on a D tackle here. And look at him right there. See that left hand of his right up in the shoulder pad and driving him, turning him. Love seeing that. He's kind of torquing the player and ending up putting him where he wants him to be, which gives him the advantage. On backside blocks, see him overtake there. Really impressive. He gets tripped there, so not really on him, but just that blend of athleticism, power, physicality, I think is really on display with this kid. Really impressive. Really, really impressive. There's that front side again. You see him. This is what I mean. See, he continues to drive. He doesn't kind of give up halfway through. He continues to drive through the face, doing that pretty consistently. Now we're going to get some of these pass protection reps. So again, just kind of taking a look at his stance. He's kind of like, I think he's too, I'd like to see his right foot drop back a little bit. I know it can be a little bit of a tell in pass protection. If you look at the left tackle, that's kind of what I mean. He's almost, because when you're kind of squared up like that as an offensive tackle, when you're lacking foot speed, it means when you get back, you got to throw so much into your back foot. And so I'd like to see that get a little cleaned up. But I mean, right here, when I say get out of your stance, watch. See how quickly he's out? So if he can do that consistently, he's not really going to have any problems once he adapts to the NFL level. You see it here against Tennessee. See him get out there. And then there's that. He's got a nasty little play style. He's going to catch the edge player leaning. And you see right there that shoulder is ahead of him. So he's going to push down on that, and then he's going to finish him into the ground. I love this kid. I absolutely love this kid. So we're going to get a little bit more here. Again, getting out of his stance quick, and you see those hands land, right? So if you compare to a guy like Grant, where I was talking about his hands kind of missing wide, watch these inside placement right there. Comes out, it's kind of a loop there because he's in his kick step throwing his left hand, but he ends up landing, and those elbows stay bent in. And Grant's more out like this, and Lundt keeps his elbows in tight right there, and that allows him to be able to brace down and control that chest plate, right? So then if someone starts to work up across your face, you can, you've got that inside without grabbing or holding, and you're not wide where you can kind of give up that leverage point, right? You're keeping those elbows in tight. So much power being generated for when you have to redirect and rework your hands or refit. And so that's what I like to see. And what I think he's doing a really good job. See here against Duke again, hands land a little wide there. And this is where I just think you need more consistency. Good recovery. He's got pretty good foot speed. Not bad by any means. See him right there, throw up that stop sign. So he's going to get attacked on the inside. And I always talk about keeping your feet on that diagonal plane, right? So he's going to step. And as his face gets crossed, watch his left foot. His left foot is going to end up dropping below his right foot, right? So as that left foot, so if my hands are your feet, if that left foot starts to drop behind, right, that's going to create that inside lane. But he nicely torques that left hand, or his left hand back in, and then you can see right there, you see how that right foot works back into that diagonal plane, and that's where he lands. A really good recovery there. He's got a really good feel and pass protection of where he needs to create his leverage points and works it really well. So I think you can mess with his stance a little bit. I think you're going to get a little bit more quickness and a little bit more shock out of it, where once he starts doing that, I think when he shoots his hands and he gets those hands, I think it's going to be a lot more consistent in terms of landing his hands. I think he kind of gets out and he's moving backwards so quick. So then he's, more erratic when he's hitting his hands. And I think that's where that's coming from. See right there, he's going to pick up that stunt. Decent little recovery. He's lacking a little bit of the foot quickness that you'd like to see there. And then we get another stunt here that he picks up pretty well. He's going to get attacked. See right there, he loses a little bit, but he's got a pretty good strength for his being like a taller, thinner guy, right? He's 6'8", 305, so he's giving up a little bit of that, turned into a little bit of that beam pole. So overall, really impressed with all three of these cats. I see three guys that have kind of different fits with the Ravens, but three guys that I think could be drafted at any point, depending on obviously what happens with Ronnie Stanley in March when free agency. Again, I want to prepare you guys for kind of every scenario, but those are three guys that I could see fitting the Ravens really well. Two very athletic left tackles, and then a guy that could be, working his way into the right tackle mix if they swung Roger Rosengarten over, or obviously a guy that they can develop as a swing tackle, that maybe they get Ronnie back on a 1-2 year deal and they're going to develop, Rosengarten and Lundt, that sort of thing. So drop a comment down below. Let me know who interests you the most. Let me know who you're going to have your eyes on at the Senior Bowl this week at the offensive tackle position. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, and thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video.